Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Honeybee Stamp's brand new Tall Pines Layering Stencil set. Then I'm also using some older products. I have their foil script holiday dies, their layering snowflake dies, and I didn't show it, but I'll also be using the A2 double stitched frames. I have a piece of white cardstock set up in a mini stencil mat. It does hold the paper and stencil in place nicely, but just to make sure the stencil doesn't move, I'm also using some tacky tape. I'll be using two ink colors, starting with Catherine Pooler's Be Mine, and I'm going for a very dark, saturated pink color. I know the stenciled image does look odd right now, and that's because I have the stencil horizontal instead of vertical. After I finish the first stencil layer, pull that one off and grab the second layer. I'm using the same Be Mine color, but this time not adding quite as much ink. So we'll have a much lighter pink color for my trees. I know the new Adventure Awaits release is a little more on the masculine side, but I couldn't resist making a fun pink tree background using this new stencil set. The design team already has lots of inspiration using this stencil set, but I haven't seen any pink trees yet. So now that I've finished the second layer, I'll bring in the third layer, and there are a total of 4 stencils in this set. I'm changing ink colors. For the next 2 layers, I'm using Catherine Pooler's Sparkling Berry ink color. For the first layer using this ink color, I'm going for a very saturated look. So I'm adding a lot of ink. The pink ink color is very bright right now. When it dries, it does have a softer look. I'm using one of Honeybee Stamp's larger size blending brushes. They have 5 different sizes available. And with the larger openings for this stencil, I decided to go with a larger brush. And now I'm moving on to the final stencil layer, still using the Sparkling Berry ink color and going with a very light coat of ink. Once I laid the stencil on top, I realized I may have moved my cardstock just slightly. So I'm trying to make sure everything lines up nicely again, and I'll hold it in place with some tacky tape. Now I'll add the last of the pink color. It's fun watching all of the white turn into this lovely pink color. Once I finish the final stencil layer, I'll use some of the leftover ink on the brush and just lightly run it over the entire background. So there is the beautiful pink tree background. And I will be cutting this out using a stitched rectangle die. I'm using Honeybee Stamp's A2 double stitched frames, and I selected the largest rectangle die. Once I have that cut out, I'll add some lovely gold watercolor splatter to the background. I let that dry for a few minutes. Now I'll add a white ink splatter to the background and set that aside to let it dry. The white ink adds a fun snowy background, and the gold watercolor adds this beautiful shimmery look. Off screen, I hot foiled the sentiment Merry Christmas. The Glimmer foil color is Sparkle Magenta. It's this beautiful pink color. I used the coordinating die to cut out the sentiment, and I also used that die to cut out a gold satin mirror piece. I'll layer the 2 pieces together to create a fun gold drop shadow underneath the sentiment. And I'm using Honeybee Stamp's Precision Tip Glue. I hot foiled the sentiment on some white pearlescent cardstock, and since I am adhering 2 specialty cardstocks together, I placed an acrylic block on top for that added weight while the glue dried. Now I'll flip over the sentiment and add some foam dimension on the back side. I'm using Honeybee Stamp's thin white foam strips. I did trim down some of the foam strips to make sure to get good coverage on the back side of the sentiment. I'll set that aside and continue working on the background of my card. I'm layering the tree stenciled pattern on some white pearlescent cardstock. I put ATG tape on the back, and I'm also adding a little bit of glue along that stitched edge. It'll help it lay nice and flat. Then I'll adhere the 2 pieces together, flip over that panel, put ATG tape on the back, and layer it on some more of the gold satin mirror cardstock. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base. This is an American Standard A2 size card, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. Next, I'll remove the release paper from the foam on the back of the sentiment and adhere the Merry Christmas sentiment more toward the bottom of the card. I love the font on this set. Honeybee Stamps always has the best sentiments. I cut out 3 of the snowflakes from some pearlescent vellum. I'll add just a small drop of glue in the center of the snowflakes and adhere 1 in the lower right-hand corner underneath the sentiment and the other 2 in the upper left-hand corner. Since the glue does show through the vellum, I'm only adding that small drop in the center. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some of the Crystal Glimmer enamel stickers in the center of each of the snowflakes. Since I did use pearlescent vellum, I'll add a drop of glue just to make sure those enamel stickers stay in place. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. It's only May and I have 2 of my Christmas cards made for the year. That's always exciting. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Pink trees may be a little odd, but I just couldn't resist. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.